Welcome to the Career Wanderlust podcast, your compass for new career horizons. Today, we are talking with Trisha Nicolas. Trisha has held multiple roles across the entertainment industry, gaining a breadth of experiences shaped her multifaceted career. Now, as a multimedia content executive, Trisha made significant contributions in both the entertainment and news industries. Notably, she played a pivotal role in the content and partnerships division at Snapchat, where she led multicultural programming efforts and developed unscripted shows for an audience of more than 250 million daily active users worldwide. Some of her shows included Off the Leash with Meg the Stallion, Level Up with Steph Curry, The Fight Inside with Ryan Garcia, and Coming Out with Manny MUA. Now, Trisha is also a trained journalist who built a successful career as a local TV news reporter, anchor, and producer, leaving a lasting impact on stations and communities in both New York City and the greater Boston area. While she covered everything from crime to politics, she specialized in telling the personal, often untold stories of marginalized communities. She earned a reputation for providing a platform to those whose voices were too often unheard or silenced. Trisha went on to spend time with Worthy, a cultural connections agency, where she moved from VP of Creative into the VP of People and Culture. She is now empowering the next generation of leaders in entertainment and sports with Anglade, where she'll be promoting equity in these often date kept industries, if you will. She's also back doing news on her own terms through her YouTube channel, Oh, Shut Up, Trisha, where she covers true crime and other conversations in the news cycle. Very exciting. I am looking forward to learning more, Trisha. Thank you for joining us on the Career Wanderlust podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and talk a little bit more with you.
Oh, I love all the things you've done with your career. You have done a great deal. And so I'm really excited to hear more about what's some of the favorite career advice that you've had, or what has been something that's helped carry you in your career that's made a big impact for you?
I think that's a really great question. One thing I think that has helped me, especially throughout the many roles that I've had, is ensuring that I stayed open, especially working in media. Media is a rapidly evolving space. And oftentimes, especially I can go to a personal story, you get really excited to be where you are. And then you get there and you realize this actually isn't what I want to do. And I believe that my ability to be open and pivot really helped me find success. For
Mhm.
example, when I was a TV news reporter, I was about maybe 23 years old. I know hard to believe I'm not that anymore. However, I was about 23 years old. I graduated from Spelman College in Atlanta, Georgia, received my bachelor's in English. I then went on to Emerson College, where I received my master's in journalism. My
Amazing.
first job was in Worcester, Massachusetts. And then my second job was in the number one market for news, New York City.
Amazing.
And at that age, I think that I've reached the pinnacle of success, right? I was there. I was excited to be there. However, I just wasn't happy. I wasn't happy. And the reason why we wasn't because, I love telling stories.
Mhm.
However, I wasn't able to tell the stories I wanted to tell. When I got in the industry, I realized that you are being assigned stories. You get to pitch them, sure, but you're being assigned. And usually the stories that I was being assigned as a general reporter was, water main breaks or, politics. But for me, I like to talk about people and real things. That was my thing. And I remember doing a lot of inclement weather. I can't tell you about for like I'm not there. It was terrible. It was terrible. I can't tell you how many times I've gone out and I was, doing snow coverage. And I remember I said to myself, okay, I do not like this anymore. I love telling stories, but I do not like this. I'm just not happy.
Mm.
And this is where being open comes in. I was like, all right, I have to make a pivot because my happiness comes first, right? So
Yes.
I remember I said, all right, when the next snowstorm comes, I'm going to quit. And I said, I don't care if I don't have a job. I'm going to trust that God is going to provide. Something will happen for me. But I
Mhm.
just sacrifice my happiness, right? That were huge. So I remember it was November 2017.
I have to
And
give you big props for this. That's a big deal. Well, you'll listen to yourself too. So many people will stay and they're not listening to themselves. And so, congratulations to you for listening to yourself and for setting a date on that. You know what? My happiness is worth more than this. This is the end date for me. Go on. I
absolutely.
love this.
Thank you so much. It was hard. Don't get me wrong. It
Oh, it's
definitely
really hard.
Oh my gosh, especially when you don't know what's coming. But
Mhm.
for me, again, I'm living in New York City. Don't forget, New York City
No,
is
really expensive. It's
really expensive. And again, I'm the number one market. Everyone's like, oh my God. And I work so hard to get there with
Mhm.
my master's, with my bachelor's. I interned every single semester of college at various news stations. So you would have thought I would stay there and just, worry about other people think, right?
Right. No, and well, that's like this is why I give props because there's so many things why we talk ourselves out of listening to ourselves, right? And like you said, oh, I've worked so hard to get there. I spent all this time, all this energy, all this money to get here, so I should just keep going. Not if you're
Yeah.
happy.
It was, yeah, I was miserable. I was miserable. So I'll tell you, that snowflake fell. And I remember they called me and they said, Trisha, we need you to go do some snow coverage. And, and integrity is another thing I'll speak about as well, which is very important. I always move with integrity at everything I do. So I didn't just quit right away, but I was like, I'm getting my 2 weeks today.
For
I
you.
still went out there and I covered the snow, but I gave my 2 weeks on that day. And guess what happened?
But
Literally, this is November, right?
Mhm.
November 2017. I gave my 2 weeks. I toughed it out, did what I had to do. 2 weeks came. I was in some group chat for Black women in the media, right? It was a group me. And in that group chat were a lot of women who wanted to do entertainment news. I'm hard news. I am a trained journalist, right? So it's very different. Somebody put in that chat, hey, Snapchat is looking for a news producer contract role. Is anyone in this group interested? Because, I can recommend you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what are the odds? What are the odds? Okay. So, and I remember telling people, because, this is before social media is what it is today. People were like, you're interested in an app? You're going to leave TV to go do digital? Like, you're
Really smart.
for the poor side. Because at the time, everyone thought it was ridiculous. Like, you are, I was like, I want to go through with it. I want to learn, like, excites me. And December 5th, 2017, I started at Snapchat,
Amazing.
contract role. And then get this contract role. And I stayed for 5 years.
Fantastic.
Yes, Mark, yes.
I believe when we make choices, when we make positive, proactive choices for ourselves that are correct, isn't that like tuning fork inside, right? You knew you were unhappy. I need something else. This is not right for me. When we make those active decisions that the universe does answer and brings forth
Always.
for what
You
is right for us.
your step. The hardest part is taking the first step, then you're able to speed.
100% that is the hardest part. It is the scariest part. It is so frightening. And so I always give a lot of big props to people who listen to themselves and then make those really scary steps. And I find that you know what incredibly beautiful things and really follow
Oh, yes.
really
When you
scary
are
steps.
uncomfortable, the best things happen. There's no growth in the comfort zone.
Yeah.
And that's what I've learned. So, and I want to speak about integrity as well,
Tell me.
because integrity is something that I pride myself on,
Thank you.
regardless of how I feel at the time in the moment. Because as you look at my career, you see I've moved a few times, right?
Mhm.
But I always moved with integrity. I believe that you should follow your heart, but never lose your heart. You need, because at one point, that is exactly what you wanted, and be grateful for it, right? And I will say that has come back and served me tenfold, right? Every time I've left somewhere or I am looking for somewhere else, people I've worked with, I'll help you. Oh, let me help you out. People I've come in contact with, because I believe, like, always have your heart, never lose your heart. Don't allow your current circumstance, it's temporary, to make you lose your heart. Move with integrity with everything you do. And that has always, always helped me, especially making these pivots that I've made throughout my career.
Oh, I think it's so beautiful. When you said that, it gave me little chills. I love it so much. Follow your heart, but do not lose your heart. That is excellent advice because look, it's the double sided, right? It's like you want to follow your heart, but and you want to be true to yourself, but you don't want to leave what trail before you feed you. You want
Um,
to leave a trail of seeds that are going to continue to grow and flourish and feed not only yourself but the people who come behind you as well.
it's really easy to say, well, forget this. I'm done. I'm out of here. But it's like, no, again, at one point, this is exactly what you wanted. And I believe every single step I've done, or I've taken, I should say, served a purpose for me where I
Mhm.
learned, right? So I look at it as like I am expanding my toolkit. right? Like, no, like, not, I'm not going to take everything with me, but at least I can say I did that.
Yeah.
And it was, and I wanted that at one point, but I'm not going to leave upset and, start to just move very ugly. It never serves you well.
Yeah. I'm curious, what was that like for you? Because that was at the forefront, really, with Snapchat and making what you were doing was very uh, disruptive, if you will.
Yeah.
So, what was that experience like for you? And did you learn anything from that experience?
Did I? Did I? So going to Snapchat, coming from, I praise God for my news background. So while I said like I left it, I still needed it because I am a journalist. I know how to turn a story very quickly. I have the skills. I know how to verify. I know how I have that, right?
Hmm.
So at Snapchat, pairing that with a place that is very big on innovation and we move very
Hmm.
quickly. It's tech. Move very KPIs are always moving. What I learned was how to move even more quickly, and I learned that how adaptable I was, right? Because I can't tell you how many conversations we've had where it's like, "Okay, we're running this way." And then it's like, "All right, 2 seconds later, oh, another program came out at another social media company. Now we gotta go that way." So we were forever, like, moving, but that, to me, was a skill set I was able to add, right? Because now I'm
Hmm.
like, I can move very quickly. Like, you can put I'm not afraid of anything.
Yeah.
Challenge in front of me, and I'm like, "Oh, I can conquer that," because at Snapchat, I had no choice. I was not a tech person. I remember going in there and I'm coming from a place where I'm pitching news stories because I felt that it would be a good story, and my news directors and, executive producers, assignment desk, they felt it'd be great too. But at Snapchat, going to a tech world, it's all about data. Data,
Hmm.
data, 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 right? And I remember being in and they speak in a lot of, like, acronyms, SSP, and I was like, "What you guys think about what?" And to go to a point where you had to prove everything with data, to me was foreign, and it was scary. It was scary, but looking back now, that's where we are in society, right?
Right.
Like, working
Mhm.
in this digital space, you have to understand data.
Yeah.
Now, I can say I can analyze data very well, and I make data-informed decisions, and I learned that through Snapchat, and now I'm pairing it with my journalism, right, with that
Right.
credit as well, and it's like I'm unstoppable. Like,
Bring
it's
it
ama
all together.
digital media.
Yes. I love it.
I remember being in meetings that I used to do 'cause, I'm in the meetings and I wouldn't voice it, right? But what I would do would write a little note and I would just Google it later, like, "What does that mean?" So I turned into like a student again. So
Mhm.
I would just like, Google it real quickly so I could understand. And of course, you can't be afraid to ask questions, right? So like if I
No,
really couldn't figure it out, I would just ask and they were like open to telling me, but usually like you can find things on
if you
Google.
can figure it out, yeah. It's I mean, if you can Google something, you should Google it.
Yeah. What does that mean?
And then take the higher level conversations, with other people. But I agree, never be scared to ask questions. There is no such thing as stupid questions, I
No, not at all.
believe.
Not at all.
So, no, I really love this adaptability because let's be honest, it's a superpower. And really, in our world, being flexible and adaptable is a key attribute to success, 100%. I'm curious if you have any advice that you'd give people to who struggle with being adaptable or flexible. Is there anything you would say or share that could be helpful?
Nothing grows if you are comfortable, right? Like, you
Right.
have to take I think it's the way I look at it is I'm like, "Okay, when I'm, like, in my 80s, 90s, right? I wanna
Mhm.
be able to tell my grandchildren, great-grandchildren, whoever, like, grandma lived a life, right? Like, I don't wanna say that I sat in one place and was so unhappy. You get 1 life, literally 1 life, 1 life. Make the most
Make the
of
most of it for
it. Make the most.
please, for the love. Yes.
When you suffer, when you are sitting there unhappy and you're afraid to make a change, you're not winning. You're hurting
Mhm.
yourself. It's like drinking your own poison. Why? Why?
Mhm.
Don't be afraid. And of course, you don't have to be as dramatic as I was, where I just put in my 2 week and like prayed that something would happen, right? You could just take like little steps, right? For instance, if you know you are unhappy in your position, I would say, well, start researching what you're passionate about, and then start taking little steps towards that while you still have the role that you're in. And then when it's time, it's like, okay, now I'm ready to go. But again, I was very dramatic with it, and I like to take those type of leaps.
Yeah.
I- You don't always have to do that. You can just
You
start
don't.
incremental wins, right? So little
Mm.
things, studying it. Start speaking to people in the same industry that you wanna get into. Maybe if there's an apprenticeship program, do that. Start setting yourself up where you feel a little bit more comfortable. I think about it as, instead of me where I just dive into the deep end, you want
Mhm.
to do something. right? Put your 40s on, put your
Put
phone.
those on. Yes.
Yeah. And then when you
Mhm.
jump, have a little bit of support because you feel a little bit more confident in what you're doing.
Exactly. I'm a big fan of the baby steps. Look, we can do everything through baby steps. And so, yes, really, really excellent advice. And you're absolutely right. I think it's important to talk about because we aren't meant to be unhappy. And a lot of times, people will think, oh, well, this is how it is. Well, this is life. Well, no, actually, we're not meant to be unhappy. We're not meant to be miserable. We're not meant to live our lives in a place where we feel that's not our own. It's not helping us grow. It's not helping us be our best person. And so it is always the right decision to make a change, even if it's uncomfortable, to find the place that's going to make you happy. So
Absolutely.
thank you. Thank you. Now, what about challenges? Okay. We all have challenges in our career. What's been a really big challenge that you faced in your career? How did you overcome it? What'd you learn?
Oh, very good question. If I will say, my last role was a challenge,
Oh,
right?
okay.
As
Tell
you
me about
can,
it.
oh my goodness. And okay, so let me talk to you about it. So, as you see, my background is in journalism, it's in content creation. It is very much like in the content world. So, I'll say this, my last role was a challenge, but an exciting challenge. Because, as you know, I'm a person who enjoys pivoting and I like to try new things. But I will say, the reason why it was such a challenge is because I didn't have background there, or at least I thought I didn't have background there. So
Mhm.
my last role as VP of People and Culture, the way it happened was I actually went to that agency because I was supposed to start the production company. Now, this is 2020, and there was the agency and there's supposed to be a production company. Unfortunately, there was the actor strike and writer strike happening in 2022. You can't launch a production company with no circumstances. It wasn't
Painful.
very painful. So I'm very grateful, so grateful that my CEO, rather than him saying, "All right, see you later, go figure it out," and
Mhm.
threw me back to the wild, he found us another spot for me in his agency, right? And
That's
again, I
congrats.
don't have a PR or marketing like background, but we tried different roles
Mhm.
and we ended up, and I was his first hire. So we got to a place where we needed HR. He needed people and culture. And I always will give him his props. He's a leader who will find your strengths and strengths you don't even know you have. So he came to me, and at that time, I think I was like VP of creative development. And he was like, "Hey, I need a VP of people and culture. And you have a background that, you were a reporter, like, you know how to talk to people." And he was like, "Think about this." Like, and I was scared to death when I tell you, but I was like, you know what? Again, I'm a person who likes challenges.
Mhm.
And the fact that he trusted me in that way, where he instilled in me a confidence, like, "No, I think you can do this. Like, let's try it."
That's really good management style, by the way. Go on.
Absolutely. I will always give him props there. Like, he is definitely uber visionary. Like, he
Yeah.
saw it, and I would never applied for a people and culture role. I never thought I'd be doing HR, right?
Mhm.
So I get in there, and this is when it's important to accept what you don't know and ask questions.
Mhm. Mhm.
What I ended, and remember I said I moved with integrity. So I ended up hitting up, I became a student again, right? And of course, I had the baseline because part of being in HR is connecting with people, right? And as a reporter, people, that's my specialty, being able to connect with people, being able to ask the right questions to extract the information we need. So just kind of like, it's a transferable skill set. So when it came down to like interviewing, oh, I loved interviewing, being able to connect with someone. And also, it felt so good to do because, as you know, like we are in what, 2025, the job market is, whew, it's really scary.
Yeah.
And I'm on LinkedIn all day reading horror stories from people talking about their terrible experiences with people they were interviewing with. And
Yes.
for me, I was like, I'm going to make it my personal mission to at least make this an enjoyable and let these people know, like, I see them, I hear them, right? And that was my biggest thing. Like, I'm a very empathetic person, Matt.
Yes. No. You really did an excellent job on that, I have to say. I mean, as you know, I'm a recruiter. I work with a lot of hiring managers, countless interviews, countless interviews. And I will say that it was noted across the board at my company that people love Trisha. Everybody walked out of the interview with you being like, "Why aren't you so amazing?" You absolutely fulfilled your purpose. You did an
Oh,
amazing
thank
job.
you so much. Because there's like, you hear people like it's not their fault. Like the job market is terrible, and to hear that they're just being treated so nasty from people who are in positions of power, it's like you have 30 minutes. Make it worse. Let them know you hear them, you feel them, right?
And this is just a beautiful way to go through life, really.
Absolutely. Again, moving
And
with integrity, never
yeah,
losing your heart, right?
right.
Moving to your heart. So no, I can't offer everyone a role, which was the hardest part, was having to like be the one to say, I'm sorry. Oh my God, that broke my heart each and every Sunday. Well,
Yeah. I mean, that's the worst part. It's the worst part.
work hard. But, at least it came from me and they know like I care and like, I'm sorry. But to
Mhm.
the point where I was saying like that challenge, it was hard. Like to go there and I'm sitting in this role. I'm the VP of people and culture and knowing that I don't really have like the
It's a big
background
threat.
to be part. It was a big pivot when it was scary. But what I did was, again, I leaned into my network and people were willing to help me. I talked to a lot of the HR managers I knew. I ended up joining a lot of different organizations. I started like just reading a lot. I became a student again, right? Trying to learn as much as I could, right? And just really just immersing myself in that world. And I learned a lot. I learned so much. And again, kudos to CEO who saw that. And then I forgot that when I was at Snapchat, I actually used to lead the Snap Noir, which is an employee resource group for the Black employees. I led that for 2 years, meaning that I was HR. So I'm
Yeah.
liaison between senior leadership and our Black employees. So I kind of was doing it, but I forgot. Now, like what I used to do when I was at Snapchat, like the
Yeah.
time before.
Well, it's easy for us to discount ourselves sometimes too, and just like forget our, like you said, I mean, we forget our experiences, we discount our experiences, we think of them as one way when actually there's so much that goes into it, that we don't fully see. So yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that was a challenge, right?
Yeah.
It
Right.
was a challenge, but I mean, I learned so much from it. I'm excited to, take that skill set in wherever else I go. Would I go back to people and culture? Probably not. Because I
That's
want
okay.
to growth.
Learning what you don't want to do is just as valuable.
Yeah,
You gave it a try.
absolutely. And I always say, don't know what you don't like until you try something. You
100%.
have to try things. So like I think I go back to my experience just in college. I told you I interned every single semester of college because I knew I wanted to do communications.
Smart.
I want to do something. But like I remember trying radio. I remember trying, and this is when it wasn't like how it is now. Like I would probably thrive right now. But it was very like you're radio, you are TV, you are PR, you are this, and there was no
Yeah.
like intersectionality.
Mhm.
I remember saying, like, trying things, like, "I don't like radio." "Okay, no, I tried entertainment." I didn't like entertainment. I remember I tried PR, didn't like it. I tried corporate comms, didn't like it. And I got to news, local news, I was like, "Oh, I loved it." But I wouldn't have known unless I kept trying
Yeah.
and trying different things and being okay to say, this didn't serve me, but thank you for the lessons. Let's move on."
I just hope everyone who's listening is clocking the way that you're going about life in this way, because this really is an incredibly successful way to get. This is the way you succeed in life. Let's just be real, okay? And really, the learning. I mean, it's been something that consistent in your stories is like you learn how to learn. You know how to learn, and this is the key to everything because you can learn anything really if you just make yourself a student, go back to the basics and learn what you need to do. And I love that this has been a consistent through your life and you've consistently grown your experiences, grown your skill sets. I think it's incredibly valuable. And I just hope people are listening and will apply that. If they're not already, apply that to their own life too. Really,
Absolutely.
really amazing.
Forever a learner. I will be a learner. I feel like when you aren't learning, you're dead.
Okay. It's true. Well, and also it keeps us youthful. I mean, it keeps us useful. It keeps us interesting. Right?
Honestly.
Yeah.
It hasn't been linear, like, at all. Like,
I
I've
know.
done 3 different things, but every single time, again, I approached it with open heart, excited to learn,
Yeah.
and took what I could from it and moved on.
Yeah. I had this guest who one of my favorite things that I've heard over the days was like, it's not a career ladder, it's a career jungle gym. And I just truly
Yes.
believe that it really is a career. It's that you got to find the right bar for yourself at that time,
A
whatever you
good
might
one.
need.
Good one. That's a good
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, really. It is. So, okay. Well, tell us about Unglad. Did I just say that correctly?
Absolutely. Yes, you did. You do it. So I'm glad. So I'm glad has been a passion project of mine for a really long time. It started off as me wanting to do a nonprofit back in 2017. But like
Mhm.
I mentioned, I ended up at Snapchat where I just didn't have time. I couldn't do it. So I revisited it because as moved, and again, I have so many different roles, but a lot of the roles I had were very influential in creating the narrative for a lot of underestimated and marginalized communities, right? So I was a development executive at Snapchat, meaning that I would buy shows from producers or production companies and I would work with them to authenticate the characters. But when I look around and look at how many people are in those spaces, they don't look like me. which is probably why a lot of negative stereotypes are, constantly being perpetuated in media. And unfortunately, I think that's because there's a lack of exposure and access, right? And I even think about, I didn't know what a development executive was until I became one. With 20 grand. Like,
I'm gonna master this one too.
and I loved it, right? Like, I probably get the app there, pin there, probably. But I loved it. But I noticed, like, when I speak to young kids who look like me, they talk about Hollywood. They don't speak about the entertainment business. They speak about the industry. And industry to me is like the actors, and which is fine. But I'm like, there's a whole other business behind it. And those ones are actually making more money and there's more stability, but they're more influential.
Yes.
Right? I can't tell you how many students I've spoken to who tell me they wanna be athletes, and which is fine, but I'm like, "Do you know you could be a GM? You could work the front office, and you can make a lot more money, and you have stability," and they have no idea that these careers exist. So I've started Anglade to be able to provide, yes, exposure and access to promote equity in what I believe is a gate-kept industry. Because
Mhm.
again, I have all the like, I have a master's, like, I worked in communications. I didn't know the little, like, other roles, like, I didn't know a development executive. I didn't know GM. I didn't know these things until I got in it, and I was like, "Oh, whoa." And that's what I wanna do. I wanna be able to get more people in the door, especially those who come from lower socioeconomic classes, right? They have the idea.
So much.
Oh,
Brilliant.
thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure. I've been able to partner with a lot of government agencies as well as educational institutions,
Mhm.
to be able to provide them with whether it be a workshop, whether it's a fireside chat where I'm just speaking about my experience,
Mhm.
whether it's I built a 12-week curriculum where I'm going to be working with, I can't say who yet, but we will be teaching literally like it's intro to entertainment, intro to sports. And then I'm going then and doing a speaker series where I'm bringing people from the industry to talk to them. And then I'm also taking them to different facilities to then see these places, studios. So it's really exciting. It's been amazing. I think it's needed.
Oh, definitely. I'm sure people will be interested. So, if someone wants to get involved in some way, where do they find you for this? Because it's
Oh
very
my God.
interesting.
Please, ungladeagency.com. That's ANGLADEAGENCY.com. Or if they want, find me on LinkedIn and just
Yeah.
DM me. I am now, I work with people in culture, so I read every DM.
That's good. That's not always easy to do, I admit. I'm in catch-up mode right now.
I'm one now. I said I read them. Well, I read people. Definitely check us out on our website, and we also are on LinkedIn, and we also are on Instagram as well. So, would love to partner with anyone who wants to bring this to students that they know. I think
Mhm.
it's important work. It's important work.
Definitely.
Then change, hopefully, the media landscape.
Well,
Hopefully,
I will include the links too in the notes as well. So I think it's brilliant, and I'm wishing you all the best with this. I'm excited to watch you and see how this grows.
thank
So,
you so much. Thank you so much.
um, something I always ask my guests because I love to hear what you feed your mind with proactively, because I think it's just one of the most important things we can do to proactively feed our mind. Is there anything that you've watched, listened to, or read that had a positive impact on you that could help others as well?
Absolutely, I'd love to share. So, I read a book
Mhm.
called Range by David Epstein,
Okay,
and
I
it
haven't read this
talks
one.
about. Have you read it?
No.
Oh, it's good. So it's funny because, again, I'm so thankful for leaders who see me in ways that I don't see myself. Because when I was working at Snapchat, I believe he was the head of content. His name was Jared, and he was amazing. He was amazing, and I am the person I am today, where I wanted to like have my hand in so many different things,
Mhm.
and he was like, "Hey," and my at this point, I'm like on the totem pole of like level. He is like the head. I was like associate, but he was like, "Hey." And I was never afraid to talk to him or anyone, honestly. Maybe that's a reporter in me where like,
It's how it should be. Yeah, really. We're all people. Come on.
well,
Yeah.
so I remember he said, "I have this book for you. It's called Range by David Epstein, and it talks about the power of the generalist, the power
Mm.
of, being able to take a concept and immerse yourself in it and become like an expert and then move. So like the
Mm.
power. And
Yeah.
a lot of people go, "That's how I am." I'm like, "Oh, you're right." And it's funny because when I look at my career now, I'm like, oh, like I kind of was like I move like a generalist. When
Mhm.
I'll learn something, I make impact, and then I'll move to the next thing, learn it, make impact, move, and there's power there where
There
you.
is power there.
Yes, now it's important. I'm going. I mentioned Anglade, but I am doing news again now on my own terms. As I mentioned before, for me, news was I love telling stories, but my problem was I wasn't able to pick my stories. So now with digital media, it's amazing. I love it. I can
No.
pick myself.
And I applaud this. This is what we all should be doing. Like you said, I mean, if there's something you really want to be doing and you're not being given the opportunity through your work, or you go do it yourself. We have the capabilities.
Absolutely.
We live in an amazing world with so much opportunity. And so, congratulations to you for taking that opportunity and running with it.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm so excited. Like the YouTube channel, I am shocked. Like it has been growing. I started it like not even a month ago. And
Mhm.
I'm like 50K views here, 20K views, 1K plus subscribe. I'm like, and people are like, oh my God, thank you for like telling these stories because I approach it as a real journalist. Like I don't
Mhm.
relation. And I noticed there was like a spot there. So I'm like, oh, like I respect everyone who's on YouTube and telling like true crime, but they bring a lot of speculation into it. And my thing is like, nah, I don't like that. I'm gonna tell you what happened and allow you to form your own opinion. And then I'm taking my digital media experience as far as data analytics and what I learned at Snapchat to be able to capture the attention of the audience. So I'm telling it in a way that's engaging and digestible. That was always my thing. I want to tell stories that are digestible without compromising journalistic integrity, right?
Mhm.
So I say this to say, yes, I was a generalist, but it also talks about the importance of also becoming an expert eventually, where then you deepen the experience in a place that you love from your generalist experience. So for me, it's going back to news. And now I'm trying to become an expert in that space, taking all the different skills I acquired from my many different positions.
That's what I was gonna say. It's all coming together. All those little things from all the different positions are all coming together to
Mhm.
create this one to be the best it could possibly be. And that's
Mhm.
and that's what we all do. We all carry those things on. We bring them into our next roles.
It's great. It's full circle, a full circle.
Yes.
It's full circle. And I understand. Because sometimes I look back, I'm like, what am I doing? And now it's like, oh, I get why, like, I left news when I did. I get why I went into digital media. I get why I became a development executive. I get it now. Because now it's serving me in my new venture, forming myself and creating my own media brand essentially and telling stories again, which I love. Never left.
It's one of my favorite things about talking to people about that their stories, right? Their personal stories. Because when you talk to people about their personal stories, that's just generally the truth. Every story, wherever they're at, they can look back and see where all the different things happened to lead them to where they are, right? And I just think it's really great to remember because when we go through those difficult times, when we're in the challenge, when we're in that difficult moment, it's very difficult. It's very hard. But I try to remind myself that every time I am in one of those moments, that every single time that's happened to anyone else, something beautiful has followed. As long as you take the time to learn and grow from whatever you're going through, it generally will lead to something better. And it's just like these little dots that lead us to where we end up needing to be eventually.
Absolutely. And
Right.
it actually makes sense.
And eventually, it's hard when you're in it, but eventually it makes sense and you can see. So if you are going through a struggle right now, try to hold on to the fact that perhaps this struggle will be leading you to something better in the future. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
okay, Trisha, you've done so many things, okay, and you've had a lot of successes. So another thing that I like to ask people about is their personal superpower because look, we are born with certain superpowers, but we also develop them over time. And you've done so many different things. I'm wondering, is there a superpower you've developed over time that really serves you?
Connecting with people.
Oh yeah.
Like, that is my superpower, whether it was reporting where I can tell you, like, I was, like, a really young journalist. I'm in these top markets, the youngest one there,
Mhm.
and the way I was able to get people to open up to me, and these veteran reporters were like, "How did you get that interview?" And I was like, "I just spoke to them like they were a person." Like, so that served, working at Snapchat, being able to connect with so many different, like, the heads, where a lot of people are, like, a little nervous. I was like,
Mhm.
to them, right? Like,
Yes.
right.
Yes.
But then also with the editorial aspect of it where I'm like now, because at Snapchat with the news thing, I also had to figure out what our audience cared about. So really being intentional and listening,
Mhm.
connecting as well to even like people and culture where I had to interview people and even supporting our wonderful staff. Like, it was important for them to feel safe with me and feel like they could speak to me about things. Oftentimes, HR is scary. And I used to always say, I'm not your typical HR. Like, I'm not. Like,
Yeah.
I want to be like I'm here for the people. I want to be a true resource for you. I don't want you to feel afraid because that doesn't make the workplace a great place at all.
No,
Nobody
no,
wants
the safe space is the best thing you can give a world, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. I believe it's important to help people thrive. So I believe my ability to connect with people has been my biggest superpower, and it's served me so well, and I love it. I literally could talk to a rock. And I also believe that everyone has a story, right? I'm that person who talks to everyone, like everyone, because I believe you can learn something from someone no matter where you go, or also someone can learn from you. Like, you never know, but I value and I love conversation. Like, when I tell you the
Amazing.
airport is one of my favorite places to be, I will sit there. I'm that annoying person talking to people. Like, I love talking to people. In Ubers, oh my gosh, I love Uber ride. Because the drivers have great stories,
They
right?
do, huh? I love talking to my Uber drivers too.
Remember Uber Pool? Uber Pool back
I
in the
never
day?
did Uber pool. Did you do it? That's what when other people would be in there, right?
That was my favorite. But Florida, New York City, I'm like, "Yes, I'll stay, pick that person up," like, and you get the people because that connection, everyone has something that you can either give to them or you can take from them, and you make people feel good. I love to talk to you. That's my thing.
Yeah, what a rich way to go through life too. It's beautiful. Yeah, just adding that little spark of joy to everyone that you're coming around to. So I must say thank you for that, Trisha.
So funny because when I was younger, my mom and dad always say, like, I did well in school, my problem was always she talks too much. And I'm like, "Well, guess what?
It's your superpower. You turned it into a business. There you go.
Won't shut up Trisha."
Yeah. I mean, that's what we need to be doing. We just need to look at what are those things about us and how do we turn those into our strengths and make some money from it.
Absolutely. But I always say, even my YouTube, I'm like, I don't care if one person watches. It's the fact that I was able to get that story out there because the stories I'm covering it's crime. Like, it's sad. It's like, and it's sometimes that with the news cycle, people feel like you tell the story and you move on. For me to be able to memorialize it in a way feels so good. So then you don't forget. I know this story happened in 2017, but I don't want you to forget it. This one happened in 2022. Don't forget it. So being able to, get justice in a way for oh, these
Super important. And all of their family members. It's so important for their family members and their friends to know that it's not forgotten and that you're doing justice to that. I mean, that is a really big deal.
it feels so good. I'm not gonna lie. Being back in this space, I always say, like, I don't care if one person watches, it feels good to do this work.
You know what? And I always say like 100%. If you're doing work that feels good to you, it does not matter
Uh,
anyone else. It's all about you doing that work. And the fact is if you are doing work that feels good to you, it is going to impact other people 100%. And
absolutely,
even if it's just one person, that is 100% worthy.
absolutely,
So, yeah,
absolutely.
I feel the same. I feel the same. Trish, this has been such a wonderful talk. I can't tell you. Thank you so much. Before you go, though, I'm going to throw out one final question. Okay.
Sure.
What are you sure of in life?
I am sure that God will always make a way for me.
Mm.
And I am sure that no matter what I do, my steps are already written and it will happen. I just have to make sure that I silence the noise and always go back to what makes me happy. What drives me? So, regardless of if it seems impossible, it's going to happen because looking at my career thus far, I've never had a moment where it didn't work out in the way that it should. And even in the moment I thought it didn't, it always works out for my good. So that is my thing. I am sure that God will always make a way for me, regardless of circumstance or how hard it may seem or challenging. It will always work out.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing, Trisha. It was beautiful. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me. You're such a pleasure. This is great. I love that you're doing this.
Thank you for joining us on the Career Wanderlust podcast. If you find value in learning from others, give us a like and subscribe. If you're looking to grow your communications, marketing, public relations, or sales and biz dev team with the best talent and quickly, check us out at paradigmstaffing.com and submit a request. We are wishing you a most successful and fulfilling career. Until next time.